Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, peeps and seeps, what it is, what do you do? Welcome back to the Mac Life, the #1 podcast here in the world. We're back for episode 182. If you're new to the channel, we have absolutely everything to do with making money online, living your freest life, because what's the good of money without freedom? And then I show you all the hidden strategies online that others won't for free. The value channel you have arrived at. Now, you're most likely here for the Onlyfans content. I'll be talking about that in a second. However, if this is the first video that you've watched, okay, I do this in podcast style format. So we go over some updates going on in the Mac life, and then we get into a juicy sort of topic towards the end. And the end of the video today will be exploring OnlyFans. And more specifically than that, we're going to be structuring OnlyFans as an 80-20 breakdown in the 3 key areas. So while you're probably overcomplicating how much money you can actually make and how easy it is to make money with OnlyFans, I'm going to show you the 3 things you need to focus on. After this video as well, I have a full video set up that I'll be releasing, so it's coming out just after this video, within the space of a few hours of watching this one. And it basically breaks down X-rated sites to a high level for OnlyFans creators. And if you're an agency, you can obviously employ these tactics as well. And how you can use short style content to maximize the amount of money you make significantly. And then on top of that, okay, inside of that, I give you, based on my experience now with researching with different models pulling in 7 figures a year in profit, okay, we go through and I show you the top 20 types of videos you need to make for short format content. And the best thing is these video topics, you just need to make 3 variations of each of the 20. Then you have 60 bits of content. That's 2 bits of content each day across all these sites. You could follow on with another 10 if you want, but that's, later on. That is enough to gain you mass exposure, mass amounts of traffic without ever changing anything else, without ever changing pricing, your sales, absolutely anything, back-end upsells. These are the hottest virality style bits of content. So that's in the video coming later. So if this is the first video you watch, I ask that you hit subscribe because we drop so much OnlyFans content, absolute bangers. And now I get about, I think, probably 5 to 10 models a day on average message me on Instagram asking me for tips, all doing, whether it's 5 figures a month or some doing 6 figures a month. And some even just freshly starting out. So I know the value that we're putting out in these videos is immense, so make sure you stick around and hit subscribe. Now, let's get into the updates. There's not too many updates today. Today's a quicker video. I have a lot of shit to do. I'm going out to support my sister. She's playing netball. So she just, for some reason, she's nearly 30 and she's just decided she's now going to go play netball. And she's like the most unathletic girl ever. Like, I have one memory of her ever running. I've only ever seen her run once in my life, and it was when she joined soccer, and it lasted 1 game, and she didn't have her football boots, so they wouldn't let her on the pitch, and she said, "Can I borrow yours?" So she borrowed mine, and she has like size, I don't know, miniature girl feet, little tiny, like almost toddler looking feet, and I have like size 9, 10 US men's feet. So I gave her my boots and she was like, "Oh no, it'll be fine." And she ran out in those boots and within the space of minutes, pulled a hamstring. Within the space of minutes, pulled a hammy running in clown boots. And that's the only memory I've ever seen of my sister run. So going out tonight to support her, she's decided to join a local netball team. And she told me, like I said, "How's your training going?" She said, "We don't have training." She lives in like this little country town. I'll get to see my nephew again, which would be great too. But she lives in like this little country town, and they don't even train. They just rock up for their games. So this is their first game, and it'll be funny to watch. So that's what I'm doing later on. But it's a bit of a trek to fucking get out there. So I've got to get these videos done, content today. I've got a little bit of business consulting to do, and then we've got to get the fuck out of here, drive there. So that's today. On top of that, I heard nothing from Facebook nor Instagram yet. About the verification on the platform. So that's good. It means they're reviewing it. It means they're looking into it. And hopefully soon we have that sexy little blue check mark. If you want the Instagram blue check mark, once I get it, I will show you the entire process that I went through to get it here on YouTube for free, because that's what I'm about. And obviously it's not a free method. Like, I'm not charging you anything, but it did cost me tens of thousands of dollars so far already to acquire the blue check mark on Instagram. And it's funny, 90% of the influencers that you see on Instagram that are blue checked up, unless they're actually celebrities, like they're well-known musicians on Spotify, they have taken the exact same route of paying to get there. So I'll show you how to do that if you decide that's something that would benefit you. And, it can definitely benefit you if you're thinking, why would I pay to just have a blue check next to me? The social proofing aspect can be massive. And especially in OnlyFans industry, if dudes are messaging across and then they're getting messaged back from verified creators, okay, they're going to be like, holy fuck, like a verified creator is messaging me. Think about it as well if you're an agency that's starting out, okay, and you're trying to acquire models and you cold outreach or they reply to an ad and your account is verified, how much more legitimacy does that add? How much quicker does that make the trusting process? So obviously I can't speak on 100% ROI yet, but I've heard from all my friends that all have their blue check marks, how much it's helped. So that's what we're working on, and hopefully I will have it very soon. Yamadeus. Itak. Next. Waiting on my business card to arrive. I told you the other day I got skimmed for like $40-50 or something, which is annoying because I have to reset up all the fucking reoccurring payments on everything, and I have so many different fucking things. So I have to reset it up on like Zero, I have to do PayPal, I have to do fucking Kajabi, Shopify. There's a million. So I had to run with an Amazon Prime, like even the small shit like that are just reoccurring. Google Drive, like I have to go and change a card. Fiverr, Freelancer, all these things. So Upwork, just a massive fuck around, but it has to be done. Next thing, I've been thinking about this today. I had a chat, the girl down here that works at the cafe here, I went down to collect my morning. I normally get bacon and eggs and avocado every single morning. It's what I eat, bacon, eggs, avocado, and I get a coffee. And she goes, you come in here pretty much every day, like nearly 7 days a week. Like, how do you afford to do that? And I was like, well, I do get it 7 days a week. Like, I actually will just get it, but I just split up the places sometimes to get it from a different place. And she's like, how do you afford to do that? And you forget, and this isn't a flex at all, you forget that when someone earns an average wage, in Australia, it's probably around $700-ish a week post-tax, I believe. That's 42K, something around that a year. Is that 37,000? Something around that. They earn $700 to $800 a week. With the prices of things, you really look and you say, like, imagine, like, for me to fill up my car the other day, and it wasn't even a full tank. Like, this is my runaround car that runs on diesel, so it's super cheap. Like, in comparison, it's meant to be super cheap. But for me to fill up a tank, and I've had to do it like once a week or sometimes twice a week, I filled up like 80% of the tank, and it cost me like $140 or $150 AUD. And so I think, like, if it costs someone else, and remember, I work from home, so I'm not constantly, some people are traveling real far to get to work. Imagine, like, you had to travel each day, you had to fill up a tank, and it's costing you even $100 a week, right, of your $700 that you make. And then you want to go out for a nice dinner somewhere, and you take your partner out, or you take a girl out, or whatever. If you're a chick, you go out with a friend and you shout dinner. That's $100. Like if you go somewhere just decent, right? Just somewhere where a meal is, you have a fucking drink or whatever, and you have a feed. That's $100. That's already just to go out for dinner one night of the week. One of those nights. Your petrol, you're already down $200. Now say you pay rent, okay, that's $300. That stacks up to $500. You've got $200 left. Like, you can't afford a new pair of Nikes each week that have come out if you need new Nikes. You can't, and you've still got to buy your food for the week. So when I look at it and people say, yeah, but you need to save your way to success, you can't do that anymore. You just can't save your way to wealth. It just simply does not exist. The only way you can get wealthy is to raise your active income to the level where, and don't mix this with passive. I hate the word passive. People say your passive income. Nothing in life is passive. Even if, say you buy real estate and stuff, it still takes management on your terms, or you pay a management team, you have to consult back and forth with them, and that takes time up front. You have to build your active income to a point where the money becomes inconsequential. So it really only, it gets reminded to me things like this when I speak to someone, and she works at a cafe and we're having a chat, and essentially it's like the amount of money that you would pay for breakfast every day. I think it cost me like $20 something. So you think if I was just to get breakfast each day over the space of a week, that's like $140 or $150 just on breakfast and coffee. It doesn't matter, like, once you get to a certain point, it doesn't matter. But it really does matter when you only earn $700 or $800 a week. This is what I'm trying to convey across to you. So don't take this, if you're watching this video and you're like, yeah, but I only earn that much, so what am I going to do? You can always learn to make more. That's the thing. You can always learn and get bigger and better and bigger and better and bigger and better. And it will continue to, and what you'll gain in the process is skills. And they are the most essential thing. So I've gained a skills and network to the point now where, I remember quitting my job. I got fired from Masters. when they got liquidated. And then I built my online businesses. But I remember thinking, fuck, I hope I never have to fucking work a 9-to-5 job again, fucking like panicking, trying to build. And then it gets to a point where it's like, that fear just disappears because it's just your life and the excessive amount of money that you make. Yeah, what I'm trying to say, in the nicest way, because I realize a lot in these videos, it almost comes across like me bragging about the money I make. And the money that I make compared to the people that I admire is inconsequential. Again, they make an enormous and exuberant amount of money compared to me, and I'm a little brokey compared to them. But in terms of just living a freedom lifestyle, you really need to raise your active income. So if you're OnlyFans creator watching this or an agency, you need like 10, 20, 30K a month. You need to build to that stage at least, like where you're turning over that money, because then everything else, life gets a lot easier. All the little shit stop. You don't have to worry about when you go out, you stop checking the prices on menus for thing. It's just ding, you just pay. You go out, you take a bird out, she wants to buy shit, ding, it's nothing. You want to buy clothes, ding, it's nothing. All the little expenses become nothing. Whereas most people's time is so concerned with like, oh my fuck, where can I get cheaper fuel? Where can I eat to save money? Where can I do this? And your mind is just focusing on the survival side of things. And the only way you can combat that is not to save, because say you even save 5 grand, 10 grand, if you then up your lifestyle to remove those worries and you haven't upped your active income, very quickly you fall back down. You're overspending, okay? You're just paying for things, and then your 10K becomes 5, becomes 2, becomes 1. Then you're like, oh, I'm back in the pit. The only way and you can't work more hours. You probably already work a significant amount of hours. You have to. Think about it. Legitimately, the only way you can do it is 2 methods. Well, 3 methods. You could just steal from a bank, go rob a bank. That's 1. Probably not recommended. I don't recommend it on this channel. 2, you could learn to invest and compound the money that you already have. Or 3, you can raise your active income. I think raising your active income is by far the easiest. And then you can learn the investing game because you'll have an excess of money coming in. Anyway, what else? I only really have one more topic to go over before we get into the OnlyFans stuff, and that is, before you make really any decision, ask yourself, like, strategically, what am I gaining from this? So many people, they whip out their phone and then they go to scroll. If you could just ask yourself each time before you check your phone, what do I hope to gain from doing this action right now? Almost like a robot. What do I hope to gain? I hope to gain, is it social connection with friends? If it is, then that's fine, but just be aware of what you're gaining so you don't classify it as wasting time. Is it that you intend to learn something by watching a video? Do you know what you're going to watch? Okay, how are you not going to waste time? How are you going to absorb information? Are you going to take notes? Ask yourself everything you do strategically before you have a meal. Is this meal benefiting me? Okay, or am I getting enjoyment out of it? If I am, what am I sacrificing in terms? Just be more strategic about shit that you do. Most people say, like, how do you get so far ahead? It's not like you get far ahead because you just did this magical thing and you get all these results. It's just making the right strategical decision time and time again, and that compounds and that compounds and that compounds. Because people go, how do you travel the world? How have you been to all here? How can you do this? How can you do that? Well, it's just starting with what options you have, okay, what strategy, and then building from there. And for you, the first one might be, if you haven't started a business yet and you're still working a job, it might be, rather than watching Netflix, what am I gaining from this? Well, I'm not really gaining anything in terms of income, but I am gaining some enjoyment. Well, why don't I sacrifice the 5 episodes I was going to watch to 1, and then I spend the remaining time working on my business and growing that so that I could watch Netflix all day if I wanted. But, and the way in which you should do that is you should always do the work first and then reward yourself at the end. Otherwise, in your head, you're going to associate it as, boom, you've had a big dopamine rush, and then this is the punishment. You'll associate work with being the punishment. Or if you associate work bringing a reward, okay, trust me, just that one cognitive shift will build on things, and it will make you more motivated to work. And you get to a point where you feel guilty if you don't do the work first. And that is actually a great place. It's where you've tricked your own subconscious into saying, like, don't do that yet. Don't do that. You haven't deserved it. You haven't worked for that. And that is a great thing. Imagine that's like a team on your side rather than you fighting yourself to do the work. So that's all I had today. I thought that was pretty concise. It's some pretty helpful information. I'm keen for the other video, but let's get into breaking down why OnlyFans is actually a lot more simple than you think. Because if you look at Paretos Law and you don't know what Paretos Law is, it's essentially the 80-20 principle. It means that 20% of the actions that we take end up in 80% of the results, to simply put it, okay? And the graph is skewed. It could be 90, 10, 70, 30, but it's usually around that 80, 20 mark. Now, think about it like this. You play guitar, right? 20% of the chords make up 80% of the general songs. So if you want to be considered 80%, you want to be considered like above pretty much 80% of the population at playing guitar, or 80% of people that play guitar, all you have to do is learn the 20% of chords that make up those songs. Okay, so you look at it and you see and you go, okay, what are those chords? Maybe I need to learn a G, a D, an E, an A minor, a C, an F. And then you just spend your time practicing those chords. And then you go, okay, I need to learn just some basic rhythm. Okay, boom. You can already play like 100, 200, 300 songs, 500 songs. You're just recomposing them in different ways. Same thing works for basically people who make money. 20% of the people own 80% of the money in the world. 20% of the job opportunities make the most income. You think about like certain jobs, okay? If you're going to say 20% of the occupations make 80% of the income, you're looking at like anesthesiologists, you're looking at hedge fund managers, you're looking at CEOs and CFOs, and you're looking at, the founders of companies that start their own companies, or, politicians in certain countries. So you look at those 20% of occupations, that's only 20%, because remember, out there you have construction workers, you have mechanics, you have plumbers, you have retail shop assistants, you have food deli market people, you have fucking bread fucking seeders that, I don't know, fucking place the seeds on the bread. I don't know how they get there. How do those little seeds get on the bread? Who knows? That's a mystery. That's the 80% of people jobs. They're the people that go and do that for minimum wage. So when you start to analyze everything like that, it makes it really easy. So let's break down OnlyFans and break down what are the actual sections that we're working on each day. Because a lot of the time you conflate what you should be working on. And there's really only 3 areas, and then we can re-break those down. So let's look at those areas. If we're to remove everything else and you say, oh, but what about, Reddit marketing, and does Shout for Shouts work? How much should it be pricing? What about content ideas? They're all valid and relevant things, but unless you know the subcategory they fall in, because then we can 80-20 analysis them and see if they're actually worth our time, you're just wasting time. So let's look at the categories. What are our 3 categories? Number 1, the very first thing that we have, okay, is content. It's your product. It's what you're selling. Your content, okay? Titty pics. Pictures of you flogging out your vagina with a giant dildo, or whatever the fuck it is that you sell. It's your content. The number 1 thing, and that's your product. It's essentially your product, is your content. That's the first area. So you need to look at it and you need to say, well, what 80-20 questions can I ask myself in that area? We'll get into that in a second, because I want to give you the other 2 first. Now, the second one, we've got our content, and they're working in chronological order as well. We have our content. The next thing that we need to do is market. So we have a product. Now we need to market, okay? Marketing. How are we marketing? What are we using? We're using Twitter. We're using Tinder. We cold outreaching. What are we doing? We're liking other dudes. We're chatting to dudes in the street and telling them we have OnlyFans. Whatever method you use. Are you using X-rated sites? What are you using? TikTok Live? Facebook groups? It depends what Twitter. You could be using a multitude of different things, but you have to understand that's one of the categories. So we have our product or content. We have our marketing. And then the third thing, now we usually have a 4th, but we don't, which is great inside of OnlyFans, is what's the 4th thing? Sales. Very simply. We can drive all these people across to our site, but if they don't buy anything, or they're only buying, $1 worth every few months, we have a shit business. So our third category is sales. What percentage of people are we converting, and how much are we converting them for, and how much profit are we making? That's more business strategy, okay? That's more of the business strategy side. This is the marketing and lead acquisition, and then we have our product. Now, the best thing is the product is the easiest thing in OnlyFans. You could legitimately look like fucking Hagrid from Harry Potter. You could be you could have hairy titties. I don't know if that exists. If there is, and you're watching this, you got hairy titties. There's a niche for that, and you could make so much money with your hairy titties. The product is the easiest thing in the world, because you can sell to pretty much anyone. There is more of a market than you could ever sell to. You're in the best market in the world. And the best thing is, if you're saying, yeah, but there's so many other creators, there's this, there's that, you're not looking at it correctly. No one has you. You are your own self. You're your own individual product. And more so than that, more people are being born every second than the amount of people that are dying. Meaning your market size is getting bigger. More males and more females are being born. And obviously you're not going to sell to babies. But over a time scale, more of them are becoming age 18 or whatever the legal age is in your country to purchase pornographic content or adult content. More and more of them are converting every second and becoming of age to buy your content, becoming a potential customer, okay, than the amount you're marketing to. Guaranteed. So you have an infinite, abundant source. You never have to worry. If you're saying in your head that, yeah, but other girls are now entering the space and it's harder, that's a base rate fallacy. It's non-existent, okay? You have the best product. Now you have to ask yourself, 80-20 analysis. Ask yourself, what 20% of content is most profitable, okay? What 20% of my time can I use to produce 80% of the content? And I'll try and reword that better. Where could I shoot 80% of the content and 20% of the time? You know, if you're driving to random warehouse locations and different things to do photo shoots, and that takes a whole day just to get that range of photo shoot, where you could just stay home and accumulate a massive amount more in a single day, okay, then instead of going to 4 or 5 different places in the week, you have your answer. Start thinking, using the 80-20 analysis, what, 20% brings this 80%. Exact that you can use this question for life as well. What 20% of things are bringing you 80% of your stress in your life? That's a big one. If you want to remove 80% of the stress in your life, what 20% of people in my life cause me 80% of the stress? What 20% of the actions do they do that causes 80% of the stress? What 20% of things could I do or say to those people or change my circumstance or do this that will mitigate 80% of the stress? This is the most powerful line of questioning you can ask. Now let's put it across into the marketing section. And if you haven't got those answers yet, it's fine. Test, and then find out what 20% of platforms bring me 80% of my traffic, okay? What 20% of the content brings me 80% of the views or 80% of the sales? Have a look at that. Then go across to your sales side of things. What 20% of content sells the most? What 20% of content brings me 80% of my revenue? What 20% of content can I sell for the most amount of money? What 20% of customers give me the least amount of grief? What 20% of customers convert the highest? And just create as many of these. Go get a whiteboard or a big A3 piece of paper and write down as many of these questions as you can. And you are going to simplify your business by, guess what? 80%. This 20% action in your day that takes you 20%, okay, it's a 20% part of your business, is going to bring you 80% more result across the board, but it's going to be compounding 80, okay? It's just fucking absolutely insane. So this is a principle that I learned very early on, and when I was trying to explain this as a young man, I used to sell web design, and I used to go to actual physical client meetings. One of the ways that I would approach people is I would look for people on Gumtree, which is like a thing in Australia, and I would look at people who were selling businesses or trying to hire staff or anything like that, and then I would look up their website and then I would message them and I would start to work the pitch, and then I would actually go meet these people and I would chat to them and I'd talk about 80-20 analysis, like this is 80% of your traffic's going to come from here and Facebook and this and that. And it's funny, like how many people that even run successful businesses don't understand Paretos Law. Now, if you want the entire read, I've pretty much just summated it all into like the easiest thing and applied it to OnlyFans for you. But the book is called the 80-20 Principle. You can go look it up. It's a bright yellow book from memory. If I've got that correct, or I'm mixing that up with Josh Kaufman's book. Either way, go read it if you want to read the full thing. But you just apply the 80-20 principle. So with that being said, use 20% of your effort right now to reach your little hand down, move the mouse, or use your finger and hit fucking subscribe, okay? I'll see you all in the next video, I hope, because we're nearly at 200 fucking episodes. And to finish off the video, it's funny. I had a hate comment today. A dude's like, 180 episodes and only 300 views. Ha, lol, bro. Vanity metrics don't mean anything. I would rather have 10 views, okay, and make $10,000 a month from $1,000 from each customer than have 1 million views and make $7 a month. I guarantee you, okay? It really comes down to applying and understanding what you're doing. And do you think that the Mac don't know what he's doing? Hope you all enjoy. Hope you found some value. I'll see you all in the next one.